African American women are vital to the communities that we serve. We are mothers, daughters, sisters, teachers, caretakers, community activists, and so much more.
We cannot afford to lose anyone. COVID-19 has devastated our community by affecting our families with prolonged illness and hospitalization, disrupting our children's education, and affecting the way we live, work, and worship.
Vaccines are our opportunity to get back to our work, but more importantly, to keep us out of the hospital and back into the communities that we know and love.
Sisters, work together for common goals, and we have so much work to do in the community. As African American women, we are the pulse of our community.
Sisters, we have work to do.
Get the vaccine.
It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. What's happening, everybody? Yes, the Geno Jones Show is here live. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. So East Coast, Eastern, like I said, 6:30. Chicago, Central Time, New Orleans, 5:30 out in Los Angeles, up in Portland, where my firstborn, Lauren Shiana Hill Vaughn, a.k.a. Boogie, my Boogie. Well, she's working now, but, you know, you can watch Boogie. Well, I know you got to focus on your job. So anyway, tell everybody you know, everybody you don't know, strangers, aliens, folks that you love, that you like, that you can't stand, that you hate. Tell them to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show on the Geno Jones YouTube channel. Subscribe, share this and every episode. So subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. Let me kick off today's show with some birthdays. Happy birthday to Miss Deborah Cox, repping Toronto, Canada. Deborah Cox, 48 today, iconic R&B singer, really like the mid-late 80s, 90s. She's an excellent actress, by the way. So happy birthday, Miss Deborah Cox, the lovely and talented Miss Deborah Cox, big 4'8" today. And on this day in 1966, man, my dude, my brother, one of the greatest live performers and singers in the history of music, especially R&B. His dad is still an R&B legend and icon, and he died tragically. He was only 40 years old back in 2006. Happy birthday. Rest in peace, power, and paradise. Happy heavenly birthday to my brother Gerald Levert, who would have been 56 today. He died, like I said, he got ill, and just, I don't remember all the details, but I remember all of a sudden heard, Gerald Levert had been sick and been taking some medicine, and then all of a sudden he was dead. He was only 40 years old, but man, his musical legacy, and if you've ever seen Gerald Levert live, man, you already know you were in or you saw a show. You saw a great show and a great performer and really a good dude. I had the honor to meet him a couple times, hang out with him. As a matter of fact, he and his dad were good friends of a friend of mine, John Mason. Shout out to John Mason. John Mason is doing a morning show in Detroit City. And if you watch NBA basketball, if you watch any Detroit Piston home game and you hear the guy saying, Detroit basketball, that's my man, John Mason. He came up with that, really good friend of mine. Anybody that knows Mason, tell John Mason. Mason, what's up, brother? Man, I love to see you. We got to link up. So he was a good friend of this. As a matter of fact, I met Gerald Levert with John Mason up in Detroit when I was doing a morning show, man, like 30 years ago. Almost 30, no, not quite, close to it. I was there from 95 to 98, so nearly 30 years ago. Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing how that time flies, right? Right. Oh, happy birthday to Indiana Jones. Okay, no relation. Harrison Ford. Yes, Mr. Man that made the character Indiana Jones famous. Harrison Ford is 80 today and probably still wants to play Indiana Jones one more sequel, just one more time. He want to run it back. So, and I got to admit, man, when Indiana Jones, when that first movie came out, The Temple of Doom, all the movies, I was a huge Indiana Jones. Listen, I even had like the brown felt fedora, but I was sharp with mine. You know, Indiana Jones, you know, he was on the kind of casual, because he was like a archaeologist and a teacher and a scholar. So, you know, he wouldn't fly. His drip wasn't like that. But my drip, oh man, my gear was with the felt fedora. So happy birthday, Mr. Harrison Ford, Mr. Indiana Jones. Anybody else out there celebrating a birthday, happy birthday. All right, so let me make a segue and a hard turn here. Every day, I'm going to beat this drum. Midterm elections, voting matters. I really want to speak to my young brothers and sisters, my millennials, my Gen Zers, like my youngest daughter, my baby girl, Allie Jones, and my millennials, like my oldest daughter, my firstborn, Boogie. Hey, Boogie, Daddy loves you. So listen, because I know, I mean, a lot of you young brothers and sisters of all shades, because we are all brothers and sisters in the human race, whether we really want to admit it or not. That's a different show. I've had that conversation on this show many times. But you know, you're frustrated because you're probably looking at like us adults, us like Gen Xers and baby boomers are like, man, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Man, y'all just storming the Capitol, trying to start our civil war, a race war. What are we doing here? And you may be discouraged. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of you all are discouraged, but man, you got to understand, I keep telling you that you have more power than you know. And the people who are in power, who want to continue to use hatred and racism and anti-Semitism and homophobia and transphobia and misogyny and sexism and anti-Muslim hate, anti-immigrant hate in all of its forms, it's making not a lot, but it's making a small group, a handful of people, a whole hell of a lot of money. Hate, fear, and ignorance, which is at the root of racism, any type of hatred, at the root of it is fear and ignorance. Fear, insecurity, and ignorance. And it has made a handful of people a whole hell of a lot of money. But you, to my young brothers and sisters of all shades, you have immense power. Because if you don't like what's happening, even if maybe you voted for President Biden, maybe you voted for the Democrats, maybe you voted for Barack Obama, you got to understand, this whole exercise of voting and democracy, it's not one and done. Because you got to understand that people that want to oppress you, the people who are just actively taking your rights away, the people that have taken, I'm speaking to the women out there, the young millennial and Gen Zers, but this has happened to all women. The people who have taken your rights away, your right to determine whether or not that you want to have a child, or whether even if you want to have one. The same people that are telling your 10-year-old sister or niece or daughter that if she's been raped, that she's got to have she's got to have the rapist's baby. She has to bear to term. She's got to carry to term, as they say. She's got to have that child, carry it for 9 months. A baby, a 10-year-old baby. Yes. There are people that have passed laws. There are states that are telling 10-year-old girls who were victims of rape, too bad, you got to have a baby. You have immense power. If you don't like what the Democrats are doing, take over the damn party, like I said. Take it over like we took over the NBA and the NFL. No, I'm serious, real talk, take it over. How do you take it over? You got to do more than vote. You got to help. You got to run for office. Some of you all got to run for office. Some of you all who are in law school, going to law school, about to come out of law school, just finished law school. Shout out to all the political science majors. As a matter of fact, shout out to my nephew, Kristen Jones, who's got like this double major, I believe, political science. I believe he is going to go to law school. He will be the president of the United States one day. Just remember that name, Kristen Jones. He is brilliant and fire, just an activist on every front. You all have the power, young people. Don't give your power away, because when you give up and you say, oh, to hell with it, why am I voting? It's not going to change anything. That's exactly what the people that want to oppress you and kill you, that's what they want you to do. They even feed that. They have trolls. Come on, y'all. They got trolls and bots on social media acting like they're millennials and Gen Zs. Oh, don't bother to vote. It ain't going to change nothing. And the Democrats and the Republicans are all the same. No, that's bullshit. Because what used to be the Republican Party, which was nothing to brag about, because I didn't mess with them like that then, it's not even the Republican Party no more. It is a cult. It is a MAGA cult. It is a white Christian nationalist cult, hate cult. That's what it is. That's not my feelings. Those are facts. You have several dozens of people who stormed the Capitol, even some that have been indicted, and some who were convicted, I believe, and got a light sentence. You've got people who stormed the Capitol. I know some who were definitely indicted. You got a dude that's running to be governor of Michigan who stormed the Capitol and is under indictment for that crime. They are voting. And they are running for every office. They're running to be on your school boards because they don't want the accurate history to be taught. So what are you afraid of? Critical race theory is not taught. It's not taught in like elementary school. It ain't taught in kindergarten. It's not taught in middle school. It's not even taught it's not taught in high school. It's not even taught in college. It's taught in law school. But critical race theory is just the truth, the full truth about American history and how the law was used and laws were written to oppress and create Jim Crow laws and a system and to legally reinforce segregation and racism, Jim Crow laws of oppression in America. And that's what it teaches. So they are afraid. Because if you ask them, well, what is critical race theory? Well, I don't know, but I don't want my child, I don't want my little white girl or white son, white boy to feel bad about themselves. No, you don't want them to feel bad about you and their ancestors, but you should want them to feel bad. I want them to feel bad. You know why? Because if they feel bad about black people, men being burned and their genitals cut off and put in their mouths and hung from trees, and black women raped, and little girls, 10, 11-year-old girls sold into slavery and raped repeatedly over and over so they could impregnate these young babies, so they could have more babies, so these slave masters, these oppressors could have more property, to make more money, to put them to work. They don't want the truth to be taught. But you got the power, young people. Use it. Because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it because they want to take it. And if you don't like who's in political power, then take over the party and change it. Run for office. Make some things happen. Show up like y'all show up to Lollapalooza. Show up like y'all going to show up to see Beyonce whenever she go back on tour. Show up like y'all did at the Essence Festival to see Janet Jackson. Show up like you're going to show up to see Drake or Cardi. Show up like y'all would go to see Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. That's how I need y'all to show up. Do that. Recently, a 10-year-old girl in Ohio was raped, unfortunately, horribly. They found out that she was pregnant on top of being raped. A 10-year-old, listen to what I'm saying. This is just recently. A 10-year-old girl in Ohio was a victim of rape. She was raped, got pregnant because of the rape, and as a result of the rape, she had to leave. I guess parents or her guardians, they had to take her out of the state of Ohio because the state of Ohio wouldn't let a 10-year-old girl who was raped by some animal terminate the pregnancy. No 10-year-old baby should ever have a baby. Period, full stop. Are you kidding me? What are we doing? What are we doing? That's why you vote. That's why you vote. Because what's coming down the pipe, if you don't vote, is a federal abortion ban, like a national ban on abortions. So in every state, even in the states that you're living in now, like if you're in Illinois, or if you're in California, or New York, or Colorado, New Mexico, you can get an abortion. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, but there are folks who said, no, we want to make abortion, we want a federal ban, a national ban on abortions. No, if a 10-year-old's been raped, too bad. Let her have the baby and give it up for adoption. You want to force a 10-year-old? So you got a 10-year-old baby raped, traumatized, and you're going to further traumatize her and her body by forcing that child to carry the baby that was produced by rape. You want to force a 10-year-old child to carry this rapist baby and then give the baby up for an adoption. Do you have any idea of the type of trauma, on top of trauma, on top of trauma, on top of mental and emotional, physical and spiritual trauma that you're putting that child, that baby under? In many of these states, even in case the life of the mother. Well, if too bad. If the mother dies, but we got to protect the unborn life. But when the life gets here, these same people don't give a damn about this life. I talked about that over and over. You don't give a damn about the life. You don't. You don't talk about unarmed black men, women, and children being gunned down. I didn't hear anybody talking about 12-year-old Tamir Rice. I think Tamir was 12 years old, 10 or 12 years old when he got murdered. All these pro-life people, I didn't hear a peep out of y'all. Innocent kid shot down by a cop. I don't see you campaigning to make sure that all women have access to the medical care they need. Especially, let's talk about black women. The maternal death rate for black women. That means the black women who die during pregnancy, or some die at childbirth. The maternal death rate for black women, 3 times higher than that of white women. All these pro-life folks, I ain't heard a peep out of you all. And once the child gets here, I don't see these same politicians. They don't want to pass laws to make sure that everyone, every family, every family can have affordable child care. They don't want to pay for universal pre-K so these babies, these young children can start to be educated properly at the age of 3 years old, and to make sure that they've got y'all didn't even want to vote to make sure that they got formula. Man, please, miss me with the nonsense. You're not pro-life. We want more white babies because we need more white people because the math is against us and because you bought into this BS construct about whiteness and race, which was a made-up construct. It was made up to divide people. How many times have I talked about that on this show? Go back and binge watch. It was, you could argue it was this whole concept of race was created as early as the late 1400s, the 15th century, all the way back to the Spanish Inquisition, to the 17th century over in Europe, around 1680, the late 1670s, 1680, 1681. You can Google it. Don't take my word for it. You can Google it for yourself. As a matter of fact, I got a book for you. The Myth of Race. Google that. The Myth of Race by a guy named Robert Sussman. Just read that. Now, I'm sure in school, you know, depending on where you live, they ban that book. They don't want you, because they don't want you to know the truth. But you can go get it on your own. You can Google it. Have what Amazon had. Didn't Amazon had a whole special, Amazon Prime special? Order that. Yeah. The Myth of Race. Robert Sussman. And while you're at it, check out this book called Nile Valley, Contributions to Everything. That's what it's called. So it's Nile Valley, Contributions to Everything. And it talks about, where's the Nile River? The continent of Africa. And everything and everybody that has come from that area where the Nile River is. All of us, actually, irregardless of what shade we are, because none of us are really white. See, that's not right. That's like a mocha. That's like a mocha butterscotch. Nobody is the cut. This is black. This suit, this baseball cap that's giving Adidas some free advertising that they didn't pay for. So y'all need to holler at me so I can be a pitch man, a spokesperson. This suit is black. All right? I got a sheet of paper. Let me do this. Let me show you what white is. That's white, okay? That's white. Now, there's some pale white folks. Now, if they are that pale, then they're probably dead. I'm just being honest. This is white. This suit, this is black, okay? Nobody. Now, I've seen some, back in the hood, we call them blue black. I had a buddy, rest in peace, power in paradise, Brother Liddell. That was his nickname, Blue. Because Blue was pretty blue, but he wasn't black. I've seen some pale white folks, melanin challenged, but not that color. Because this whole concept of whiteness was made up. So once again, my young people, my message for you today, this is just another reason. Think about that 10-year-old girl. That 10-year-old girl could be your sister, could be your niece. Heck, to my millennials, you got some millennials is near 40. That could be your daughter. To us Gen Xers, baby boomers, heck, that could be your granddaughter. 10-year-old, state of Ohio, wanted to force that child, that baby, to have the baby of her rapist. But fortunately, the adults, I don't know if it was her parents or guardians, but they were able to get her out of that state to terminate that pregnancy in another state. So they probably, well, in Ohio, she could go to Michigan. They could take her to Detroit. Actually, you could still terminate a pregnancy in Indiana, but the politicians there are trying to end that. You could definitely take her to Illinois, take her to Chicago. So, all right, listen, I want to wrap up the show on a positive note, and I want to play the brand new music. Shout out to LaToya London, who was my guest on Monday. Go back and watch Monday's episode. We had a great conversation. She is just a beautiful sister, a beautiful outside, inside, and all around. She's got a brand new song with Anthony Hamilton, On Everything. Love the video, the storyline, how they promote black love and all about It's talking about something that I've talked about a lot. The most unprotected, neglected, disrespected, unheard person on the planet is a black woman, and especially a black girl, a black woman or a girl. And we as black men, if we don't stand in the breach and protect our sisters, nobody else will. Because unfortunately, we still live in this world. We still live in a racist society, just a fact. And you got folks who still hung up on this whole construct of race. So when they look at us, they really, they try to project like they see someone that's inferior, but they know it's really the exact opposite. Just think about what we've endured, and we are the ancestors our ancestors were able to survive going through the Middle Passage from months in and months out. Our ancestors, we are descendants of people who were trapped in the hulls of ships with death and disease, literally laying shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm, and they survived that. And then they survived enslavement and lynching and rape and murder. And we are the dreams. I'm the dream of my ancestors. We are the dreams of our ancestors. So we are a strong people. Don't let anybody fool you and tell you otherwise, okay? Don't. And the truth is, we are really all, really, if we want to just talk about from a genetic standpoint, anthropology, for all the anthropologists out there, if you study anthropology and DNA, we all as humans are distant, like somewhere between 40th to 50th cousins, because all of humankind originated and came from the area that is known now as the continent of Africa. There's your CRT. How about that? Let's call it curriculum that respects the truth. That's what CRT. Let's make that CRT stand for that. Curriculum that respects the truth. Yeah, teach that. All right, everybody. But I want to close with this. I want to shout out to Method Man. Method Man recently apologized to Destiny's Child. So back in 2001, they were all at an MTV event. This is Destiny's Child. They were still together. Method Man was doing his thing. Of course, Method Man is one of the original members of the Wu-Tang Clan. Shout out to the Wu. So Method Man was very honest. Recently, he did an interview. He said, man, my self-esteem was in the gutter. I hated myself. These are his words, not mine. He said, man, I hated myself. So I hated anybody else that was around me. I hated my family that tried to basically help me and help lift my self-esteem. I wasn't trying to hear that. So he owned his insecurity and his self-esteem that was in the gutter. Those are Method Man's words. So they were at the MTV Awards, and Method Man, and he acknowledged, he said, listen, it was really loud. I can imagine, you had the MTV, it was either the MTV Awards or MTV show. You got live music, crowd screaming. So apparently he tried to speak to them, and apparently he learned that they didn't hear him, but he didn't take it that way. When he spoke and they didn't respond, he felt they dissed him. So he basically dissed them, and he apologized. And the lesson in that, there are many lessons, but the lesson in that is that apologizing, admitting that you're wrong, as I've taught my daughters, when you make a mistake, just own it. Raise your hand, own it. My bad, I apologize. Let me atone, I'm sorry. And make sure you don't make that mistake again. There's nothing weak, there's nothing soft, it doesn't make you a punk to say I'm sorry. Actually, It takes a bigger man. It takes a man with character, strength, and it takes a man who is very secure in himself and his manhood to be able to say, I was wrong. Because none of us are right all the time. Now, some of us may think, well, some of y'all, because even I don't think I'm right all the time. I want to be right all the time. But I will own it when I make a mistake and make sure that I learn from that mistake. Find a lesson. What was the lesson in the mistake? Learn the lesson so you don't make that mistake again. Life is a series of lessons. When people talk, well, he failed at this. Well, listen, even Michael Jordan said he's failed countless number of times, thousands of times. He missed shots. He didn't stop shooting because he missed. But what was the lesson he learned? He studied, he watched game film, and he practiced until he got better. So it's only a failure if you give up. It's only a failure if you don't learn the lesson and get back in the lab and keep at it. It's like a scientist. Some of the greatest scientists, some of the biggest discoveries in science, those scientists, when they initially tried out their theories and hypotheses, they failed. Stuff blew up, but they didn't give up. They learned, okay, but that I got that right, but what happened? They learned from their mistake. They learned their lesson and then got back in the lab, maybe made the mistake again a couple more times, several times, until they got it right. So, fellas, my brothers, saying I'm sorry is really, that's what real men do. When real men make a mistake, real men own it. My bad, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I apologize. I hope that you can accept my apology. But you don't have to, because that's up to you. But me apologizing for whatever I did, intentionally or not, to offend you, to cause you harm, even if I didn't mean to do that, if you acknowledge to me that I did cause you harm, pain, in some kind of way, I want to apologize for that and atone and to let you know that I learned a lesson from that and it won't happen again, and move on. Because you've done your part, that's all you can do. You can give the apology, not mandatory that the person accepts it, because that's not on you to make that decision. That's what real men do. So shout out to Method Man, being a good example of what, and owning your stuff. Owning your insecurity, your low self-esteem. I mean, we all have periods, man. We all go through periods in our life with stuff going on. Things may not be going right. You're trying to make your career happen, your business, or you're trying to take off in whatever you're doing. You have good days, you have bad days. It feels like you can't get a break, but you don't give up. That's why I say always bet on yourself. I don't gamble, but in Vegas they say always bet on black. And I say in life, always bet on you, because nobody can beat you being the best version of yourself. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show on the Geno Jones channel right here on YouTube. Please subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey. So, we're doing the Frankie Beverly and Mays impersonation. I'm doing my Frankie Beverly, rocking my baseball caps, because I can't see my barber till Monday. Unless, Kel, something happened, you available, holla at your man. But anyway, so he is the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show, CEO of Designer Cuts. Check him out on Instagram, Kel B Cutting Up, KelBeCuttinup. Allie Jones, she is the drip coordinator. Yes, the drip director. How about that? She is the drip director. She is a wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check her out on Instagram. Now, so it's LX, because this is a new one, LX, like Lexi, lx.ncl underscore, lx.ncl underscore, or Lexi. She still got that one too. Lexi with 2 X's, LEXXIE.Nicole underscore design. Shout out to everybody watching me today. Let me see here. I saw folks in the, it was in my chat top. Let me just click on this button here. Here you go. So I want to thank everybody for watching. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing now folks are been tuned in. I want to thank everybody for watching me live. And for those who are not watching me live, but maybe watching me after 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be on Thursday. I got a special guest, Mr. Hollywood, Southern Soul. He is like a Southern Soul new sensation. Got a hot new record. Full disclosure, I've known this brother for a while, so I'm really excited. I'm happy for him. There you go. What up, Groove Master Dre? There's somebody just popped up in my chat room. DJ Groove Master Dre. Mr. Hollywood. We're going to talk about his brand new single and his musical career, because he's got an interesting background. So he went from being on one side of the entertainment game to the other side. So we're going to talk about that journey and a whole lot more. Don't miss my conversation. Mr. Hollywood, brand new Southern Soul artist. He got a hot new song. You're going to see a lot of him, ladies and gentlemen. So he'll be my guest tomorrow. And until tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. or Thursday, because depending on when you're watching it, it may be Thursday morning. You may be up late, can't sleep. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning watching the Geno Jones Show. Next live edition, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, is always, like I said, God bless each and every one of you. I love you. I really do. Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. And I leave you with these words. Please, all of us, man, please, all of you be blessed. And all of us, those who believe in the power of prayer, please pray for peace. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.
African American women are vital to the communities that we serve. We are mothers, daughters, sisters, teachers, caretakers, community activists, and so much more.
We cannot afford to lose anyone. COVID-19 has devastated our community by affecting our families with prolonged illness and hospitalization, disrupting our children's education, and affecting the way we live, work, and worship.
Vaccines are our opportunity to get back to our work, but more importantly, to keep us out of the hospital and back into the communities that we know and love.
Sisters, work together for common goals, and we have so much work to do in the community. As African American women, we are the pulse of our community. Sisters,
we have work to do.
Get the vaccine.